We live, for lack of a better word, we live in a realm, and it's flat and stationary. And every test that's ever been done to prove the Earth is spinning has proved that it's flat.
So what's gravity?
What is gravity?
I have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
Not moving. What you're seeing is a light in the sky. You were asking me before why the deception, and the deception is to make you think that you are insignificant, make you think that God doesn't exist. The greatest, the saying, the greatest trick the devil ever did was to prove that he didn't exist, to make you believe that he didn't exist. But the greatest trick the devil ever did was to make you think God doesn't exist.
Well, let me throw this.
Is there any way, is Danny a flat earther?
She likes the videos. Neither one of us were like agnostic, but it's like we enjoy the mental exercise of it. And the deception, it's like, there's money involved. People are always like, why would they lie about it? I don't know. $20 billion a year sounds like a pretty high number, you know?
Again, every time you think money, it's the same thing as thinking nuclear bombs. It's all nonsense, fake.
Right.
Okay? It's mind control, it's slavery, and it's to make you think that you're an insignificant living on an insignificant speck in an endless universe with no meaning, where no consequences will come, and that there's limited resources, and that somebody's going to shoot you any day you go outside. Okay? This is what they want, because in that state of fear and limited resources and no self-worth or importance, you give your power away. We are truly great, spiritual, powerful beings, and that's what they don't want us knowing. We have the law of free will, God's law, natural law, whatever you want to call it,
logos.
And they can't take that away from us. They can only trick us into giving it away, and they can't trick us blindly. They have to give us as many chances as we can to see the truth. That's why they tell us what they're doing. That's why they let us know. They hint. They make it so, hey, you didn't see it. We told you. That's on you. So
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do.
Well, you and Jared did a video that kept showing that it's like, we're going to space in 5 years, and then they would run the exact same story like 5 years later,
right.
And then they would run it again 5 years later, and the words would barely change at all, and they just kept going out. And people don't even like to look back that far, 5 years ago, to see, hey, the same story was just printed 5 years ago, And we're in this weird age where it's like, if you don't know the news of today, that's like all the knowledge there is. And they don't want to go back and look at the history of all this stuff, or how it came apart, or the fact we haven't been to the moon since early 1970s, if that even happened, obviously, I grew up in Florida watching shuttle launches all the time.
They said we were going to the moon, and then we pulled it off in like 8 years or something with 1960s technology.
Yeah.
But now it's going to take us, I forget, what year did they say it's going to be before we go back to the moon? With the technology they had, I don't even want to show it. I'm wearing an Apple Watch. Okay,
right.
Don't yell at me, people.
No.
But this has like 5,000 times the computing power that they had for to figure out the trajectories of the ship going to the moon.
Yeah.
Think about this. Here's the helio-nonsensical model that people adamantly fight to the death to protect. Yes, helio-nonsensical, that's the new name.
Thank you. What is our next destination for America in space?
The next destination for America in space, and I'm not being trite when I answer this, is the International Space Station. We've got to get there 4 more times this year. The long-term destination, after we successfully close out the space shuttle program, the ultimate destination is Mars. And there are intermediate points that we're going to have to get to before we are capable of going to Mars. If you gave me all the money in the federal budget today, I could not get a human to Mars.
I'll tell you, my time is up now, so I'm going to tell you this briefly. I think that what you're doing is taking a shot in the dark. You have no way of knowing if any commercial entity will ever be able to put a man in orbit, no matter how much money you throw at them. What you're doing is you're taking NASA's manned space program and making it a faith-based initiative. I yield the rest of my time.
Ms. Cos.
When people search the flat Earth, you know, Obama mentioned the Flat Earth Society. I can't count how many times during his presidency. They want people to go to the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is nothing to do with flat Earth. It is a controlled opposition site that if you go there, it has nonsense. It has a little bit of truth and a bunch of nonsense. And if you go there and look, you're going to turn away and never look back again because it makes flat Earth ridiculous. We are not.
It's the first thing that comes up on Google. When you go flat Earth, they're going to take you right to the Flat Earth Society. They're going to capture curious people.
If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round. The challenge is real. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
You know, truth is the enemy of knowing. Lies are easy. You just lie. Okay, I believe it. But if you want to know the truth, you got to take the time and effort. And where can you go? You used to be able to go to YouTube and type in flat Earth, and you'd come up with all of these videos. Now they've changed the algorithms. It's all hidden. When I upload a video, I have all my subs. None of them get notified anymore. If you try to find my channel,
we know all about the censorship.
Yeah, it's eagle versus serpent. Knowledge is power.
Right. I have a challenge for people. The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's $3. It's super cheap. It cost me a ton of money to make, and I didn't make it to make money. I made it to bypass.
You got to feed yourself, putting out your cosmology. Well, which I think is healthy to question everything. Cosmology means worldview. Respect.
The point of the app. Every day I serve a new video on it. That it's a short video during the week, longer ones on the weekend, and I challenge people if they watch the video every day for 2 weeks, they will know that the Earth is not a ball, and they will dig deeper, and it bypasses YouTube's recommendations. Like if you watch a video that debunks something NASA did or debunks the spinning ball, the next video is the opposite of that, served by YouTube. But the app takes that away because it's feeding you playlists.
No, I understand, and we'll plug your stuff more, and I want to go look at it myself. But just again,
that we will have the potential to rapidly transform our capabilities, even as we build on the important work already completed through projects like Orion for future missions. And unlike the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Interesting to me. If you want to know why it's interesting to me, this is why it's interesting to me. I want to know what NASA's been doing with $20 billion a year. And the funny thing is, 1959 to 1972, they said they got about $21.5 billion, which they equate to $136 billion in today's money. So just in the last 40 some odd years, we've lost about, I don't know, 1/7 of the value of our money. That should be shocking. But I wanted to really look into what NASA has done for humanity with $20 billion a year instead of, using that money for like childhood diseases like autism and stuff like that. So we found out what they've been doing with it. So they helped invent LED lights. They also helped with artificial limb research, infrared ear thermometers, just in case you needed that. Let's see, anti-icing systems. That sounds important. Highway safety, but they don't exactly tell you how. Improved radial tires. Do you want tires? NASA's helping with that. Chemical detection. So I guess the systems they use on the ISS helps with detecting chemicals on Earth for $20 billion a year. Yes. And video enhancing and analysis systems. Landmine removal. I guess there's a lot of landmines on the ISS, according to spinoff.nasa.gov. So I'm not just picking random weird sites. And then fire-resistant reinforcement, firefighter gear. And then they said all this is a product of the ISS. So you can go down, enriched baby food, freeze-dry technology. They've been touting that for a long time. They used to have an older website, and there was only like 6 things they had pulled off, but I guess they updated it. And harnessing solar energy. I don't think you had to be in outer space to pull that off, or water purification. I think that existed before the ISS. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments, but please thumbs up it and leave comments on the video on YouTube so other people can hear the message of David Weiss, because I have an idea that maybe his videos aren't going to go out, and maybe my video may not even stay up for just talking to somebody who's nice. So anyway, this is something else that was important. I'm on nasa.gov. NASA makes dozens of patents available in public domain. Yeah, so I'm going to call David in a second. But I want to show, like, NASA takes $20 billion a year, and they've been doing this since the space program started in what year? 1959? And they use it to patent other products that then they sell back to us with the money that they got from taxes. So I find that very strange. And that's why I find the whole thing very fascinating. So we can debate the science, and it can sound ridiculous to you all you want, but this stuff means a lot because there's a lot of money at stake. And there's a lot of money that could be used to help a lot of people here on Earth. So I'm very interested in what David has to say, and I'm going to try to Skype him over right now. So bear with me if there's appreciate your time. But I looked up like if they had banned it already, because I hadn't been watching it for a couple of weeks. You know, I like to check in every now and then. It's a great mental exercise. And so I looked at it, and they were like, YouTube is banning flat earth and neo-Nazis. And I'm like, you really just put those two things in the same sentence? Like, how dare you do that? Like, that is some of the worst trickery that I've seen of all time. Like, a harmless idea versus people that want to hurt people is insane. Like, that is literally insane, instead of actually debating your points.
Right. I lose my words because there is no defense of the ball. Listen, you and I know that you're a flat earther, but let's pretend that you're not. Okay. Okay. I want you right now to give.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
Just the history of it drives me bananas. And if anybody wants to hear more from you, where can they find you?
theflatearthpodcast.com. Listen to another guarantee right there. Go to start with episode 1. If you make it to episode 7, you're a flat earther. So don't do it unless you are prepared to lose friends and family for a period of time until they wake up. Which makes no sense.
If you believe the Earth is round or flat, who cares? Like, how does that affect anybody else?
Nobody likes having their ball taken away. We've been programmed since babies, you know, with mobiles, planets above us, NASA clothing. Just look, there's NASA clothing everywhere. There's globes in every classroom, every movie. You know, in 1927, Universal had the spinning globe on their movies.
Before we even knew what it was.
Right, and that's called predictive programming. You know, Arthur C. Clarke, I thought that he was a prophet. He wrote about satellites, and then satellites happened, you know?
Yeah, geostationary satellites too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This is called gravity.